This is a 2023 BMW X3 M40i, and we're doing our 5-year ceramic coating service. Now this thing has huge rotors, and sometimes after we're done washing everything and it sits in the shop for a day or two, sometimes the rotors rust up. Is that a big problem? And why do they do that? Now, one of the main reasons why they rust up is because they're steel. And a lot of people don't really understand this because they only see it when the car has sat for a while and they actually pay attention to their wheels. The rotors will rust up every single time you're driving it in wet weather and you park it in your garage or park it for a while. Those rotors will rust up. But the moment you start driving and you hit the brakes, all that rust disappears. Well, it doesn't really disappear. It actually just kind of fluffs up into your wheels, and a lot of times that's how you get a lot of this brake dust. A little bit different because it's oxidized metal instead of the shavings from your brake pads, but nonetheless it's going to make things ugly. Now, is it a huge deal? No, because your wheels are going to get dirty anyway, so what difference does it really make? Just make sure to clean your wheels on a regular basis. But I want to try this product and see if it works. Now, I've used it already on a newer vehicle, and sometimes the newer vehicles, I don't know, maybe the rotors are some sort of an alloy and they don't really rust as much. I really don't know, I can't say. Or we dry them and we don't really get a lot of rust on them. Nonetheless, I'm going to try this product out and see if it works on this, and hopefully when an older car comes in, I'll try it on those rotors and see if it makes a difference. Now, some may also say it depends on the cleaner. If you use an iron remover or an acid wheel cleaner or a high alkaline wheel cleaner, that it'll activate with those rotors and it will produce more rust. Is that true? I don't know. I really haven't tested it or paid attention to it much because it's not a big deal to me and it really shouldn't be to you. However, some are concerned about that. They see the rust on there and they kind of freak out a little bit. I'm just going to tell you straight out that it's not a big deal. Once the car drives away, that rust is going to be gone. But it is going to be on your freshly cleaned wheel. Now, 2 other products we're going to show you guys today are from Ethos. They're 2 different wheel cleaners, and one is a wheel and tire cleaner. The green one here is a Wheel Cleaner Plus. It is an iron decon wheel cleaner, which means it will react to iron particles, but it also has other ingredients in it that make it a wheel cleaner. Not necessarily for the paint, even though you can use it on the paint. This one is an alkaline wheel and tire cleaner. Now I'm going to use this on the wheels and this on the tires, even though you could just use this on both. And the other product we're going to use again, which I've already used this in another video. If I have that video available, I'll put it up in the card. But this is the Next Level Auto Shampoo. Now there's something interesting about this product. It's a pH neutral shampoo, but the formulation in it, the surfactants in it, make it a very heavy-duty cleaner. And I'm only going to use maybe an ounce, maybe 2 ounces in my foam cannon and see how much foam we get out of it. But it's really the cleaning ability that you get out of this. Now, my cleaning process is a little bit different. What I mean by that is I really focus on the pre-wash to clean the majority of the vehicle. It gets about 80 to 90% of it clean as far as heavy particles and mud and grime and junk on the paint. And then the contact wash is a lot more gentle. So I don't really need a strong shampoo for the cleaning. I just need lubrication, and I do like the foam for the cushion or to make things a lot softer when touching the paint. So let's show you how this stuff works also. And I have my foam cannon that I got from Temu. If you're interested in some of the products that we tested out from Temu, then check out the video in the card. Now I filled the foam cannon up only about 3/4 of the way, and I'm going to put roughly, I think I'll just do roughly an ounce right now. It might be a little more. It's really, really thick stuff. Even if it's 1.5 ounces, or that might be 2 ounces, but it's okay. If you're worried so much about dilution ratios, I mean, you really don't need to worry too much about that. Now I'm also going to do something a little different for our pre-wash. We usually use an all-purpose cleaner. Typically we use Super Clean, diluted 1 to 10 in our IK foamer. That's our usual APC rinse or pre-wash. I'm going to try something a little different because after talking with Next Level, this stuff can be used as a pre-wash. Is it strong enough? Jury's still out on that. I'm going to personally say probably not. However, for maintenance, I think it would be perfect because it is pH neutral, but it does have the surfactants in it to be able to clean properly. It doesn't have to be high alkaline or acidic to be a heavy-duty cleaner or to be a good pre-wash. But it all depends on what you're working on. This is brand new. It's really not that dirty at all. So I'm gonna put maybe another ounce to 2 ounces in here. And this is that's probably a little bit too much. And I've only filled this up about halfway, about half a liter. And this is a foamer that I also got from Temu. So again, if you want to see these bottles in action, then, well, you'll see it in this video, but also check out that video in the card that I mentioned earlier. These bottles are very easy to pump up. Wow, but I think this mixed up pretty strong. Wow, that foams up really nice. I can even pump on the go, even though it looks weird. Weird. Before you start doing anything, I want to get video of it, so. So letting that dwell for just, I don't know, 30, 60 seconds or so, and we'll see how much of this will actually clean off. So the pre-washing is done with the Next Level Auto Shampoo. And how does it do on bugs and grime and things like that? I definitely think it softens it up. There's still a few little bugs here, but that just may need a little bit of agitation. As far as initial cleaning on the bottom sections, I think that it did a really good job. This has some sort of protection on it, whether it's a wax or sealant, I don't know. But the paint looks pretty good, in fact. I'm not really seeing a lot of heavy grime down here at all. So I think it did a good job on all the bottom portions. And the wheels themselves, of course, just need deep cleaning. So we're going to use the wheel cleaner to really get into the wheel wells and clean effectively. The face of the wheels, they look pretty good. Same goes with the wheel wells. They need to be agitated a little bit more and rinsed out. But initial cleaning, I think, yeah, it did pretty good. Once again, not a trashed vehicle at all. I would use this more for maintenance. Great for ceramic coatings, waxes, or sealants. Shampoo itself on the paint feels incredible, very slick. Yeah, the lubricity on this shampoo is incredible. And I'm using the DIY decontamination mitt. Glides really nice with this shampoo. Nice combo. Again, brand new paint, so it's not anything crazy. Yeah, I feel like the teeniest amount of grit, but it comes right off. So the shampoo has some really good staying power, which means the suds really last. So I didn't even foam this bucket. This is just our rinse bucket, and look how foamy it is. It's like we foamed it up, but it was just from the mitts. So very good staying power. It stayed on the vehicle as well. It didn't just kind of evaporate away or just slide right off. And as you can see, it stays on the ground as well. It's just a very, very thick, concentrated shampoo, and the lubricity on this is insane. Even just with a little bit of the foam in my hand, the lubricity is crazy. So with any types of brushes that are not rubberized, these are rubberized, but if they are just a plastic, they will slip right out of your hands because it's just very, very slick. Good stuff. So before we dry the wheel completely and the rotor back there, I'm going to spray this product on wet. And basically the idea is you spray this on before it starts to dry and rust. It's already starting to look a little funny on there, but we'll see what happens. And you basically just let this dry on there. In fact, you can spray it all around the area. If it gets on the wheel, it's okay. We're going to dry it off and wipe it off anyway. But just get that whole area drenched with the Hyde's rust stopper, and let's see what happens. I'm going to spray just a little bit more on there, and I'll wipe it off the wheel if it gets on the wheel. And I'm going to do the front wheel here and leave the rear wheel as a control. So in this video, we are going to be applying the Ethos Graphene Pro coating. Now, I've used graphene coatings before. To be completely honest, I don't care about graphene. It doesn't make a difference whether it's graphene or regular ceramic coating. I don't care. What I do care about is its application and its durability. This is actually rated at a 10-year durability range, which is pretty good. So, you know, the durability range on par with most professional coatings like the Geon Infinity coatings or the G-Technic Ultra, but I believe you can actually buy this as a consumer and apply it. Now, I've never applied this coating before, and I'm applying it to a customer's vehicle, which I don't typically do. However, I have to admit something. I forgot to get more Crystal Serum Light. Yeah, so I checked my cabinets, I was all out. So I had the Ethos coatings, and I already used the other graphene coating, which was like a 5-year coating, and now I'm using the Pro version. I don't typically do it on a new customer's vehicle. I like to usually test it out first on my own vehicle and then see, but in this case I have to make an exception. Okay, so I cheated a little bit. I already applied it to the passenger side of the vehicle just to see how it was going to react and how it's going to work. Let me tell you guys, it's very easy. This coating is a rainbowing coating. I'll show you what I mean. Application, very easy. Do shake up the ball a little bit just to make sure that everything is mixed up. I've already primed the pad, so I'm just putting a couple of lines on here. Not too much, I don't oversaturate it. Butterfly it, and I'm going to do a pretty large section here. I'd say about a quarter of the hood or so. I like to just go in straight lines. I can see exactly what I'm doing. You see the coating go on very, very distinctly. You don't have to cross hatch. I'm just going to go back over it in straight lines just to make sure everything was 100% covered, and then let it sit. You can obviously see the difference between the uncoated paint and the coated paint. It has, you know, that wet look to it. And when I said it does that rainbowing flashing instead of a sweating flash, this is what I mean. You will see it eventually, that rainbowing effect, or it kind of looks like an oil slick, basically. You'll see all those little colors. The more you let it sit, the more you'll see that, and then it'll start to flash away. From what I have seen and experienced on this with this coating, you have a pretty nice long working time, depending on temperatures, of course. It's really not hot and humid today. It's about 60s and cloudy. And I've given this, I don't know, about a minute, and I see that oil slick, or that rainbowing effect. And I'm going to go in little small circles. It's grabby at first, and then your final wipe is going to be nice and slick. Not super, super slick, but definitely you feel slickness. Of course, if you are a regular on the channel, you know I need to compare things to other things. So, if I'm comparing it to my favorite coating ever, Crystal Serum Light, it flashes differently. It's not as slick. Does not mean it's a bad thing. It's just different. And once that final wipe is done, I definitely feel some slickness. And we'll see tomorrow how it will change, if it will get more slick. Have my light here just to check. And this stuff wipes off extremely easy. So I will go back over the perimeter just to double check. and do long sweeping motions, and it looks beautiful. It's incredible. So very easy to apply. You're just looking for a different flashing than the normal sweating or beating up, which is a lot more visual. So I'm going to fly around the vehicle and coat everything because I can coat large sections. Let me show you. So I'm going to cut this hood into quarters, not necessarily equal quarters, using the body lines here. This is a quarter, this is a quarter, and in the middle I'm going to chop in half. So what I'm going to do is do the top half. I probably could have done it long ways, but it doesn't matter. Either way will work. So from this side, I'll crosshatch just because it's easier to do it that way. I add just a few more drops onto the pad. Not a ton more, just a few more drops because I know I'm going to be stretching over to this side. And I'm going to go over the body line as well. And I can see clearly. I'm getting full coverage. There. At this point, I probably could just do the rest of this. I added just a few more drops, and I'm going to do just that. I'm going to finish out the rest of this, box it all out. So I am basically doing the entire middle section. Technically cutting the hood into thirds instead of quarters. And basically, once you start applying ceramic coatings, you'll know what the coating can do and can't do, and also depending on your temperatures. So just simply do a test spot, see how it responds, and go from there. Now, if you are wondering about the Dr. Beasley's polish, you see here this residue, right? That might worry you, but don't be worried about that, because this is just a little bit of a residue that comes back. It's not really coming back, it's actually taking moisture from the air. That is just the teeniest amount of moisture from the air that's attracting to the panel from the Dr. Beasley's prep. So I don't really know the science completely behind it. I'm not a chemist or anything like that, but from talking to other experts and doing some research, basically the surface is primed. It's ready for a substance, molecules of some sort. And right now it's attracting water molecules. Once you apply a coating like this, it's going to attract those molecules, and they will bond and they will cure, and then you have a nice surface that is completely coated and bonded properly. I truly think that the way of primers is the way to go. I think companies should focus on that. This is just my personal opinion, because it will speed things up and it will improve the coatings. Instead of just doing the old school panel prep, which is totally fine, you still can do, I have not always found it to be consistent as this priming. With priming the surface with a specific product, you are ensuring that the surface is ready to accept the coating. And really, the principle here is the same principle that is used even with waxes and sealants back in the day. A lot of guys used to use pre-waxes, which were polishes that did a little bit extra than just polish the surface. They would chemically clean the surface and basically leave its own type of substance on the paint, and it would then accept a wax or sealant much better. A quick example of that is this product right here. This is from Meguiar's. This is their ceramic prep wax, or a pre-wax. What does that mean? This is basically an all-in-one with ceramic infused. Essentially doing the same thing that this is doing. Essentially. These are not necessarily to be compared because you're not going to put a ceramic coating on top of this. Maybe you could get away with that. I haven't tested it, and I don't think I've seen any other guys test it, but maybe it could be used like that. But this is to be used with the Meguiar's ceramic spray line. So they have their own spray coatings that you can use in conjunction with this. This really should have come out when those other spray ceramic sealants came out. I don't know why, but this came out after that. So this could actually be used like a standalone all-in-one, but it is labeled as a prep or a pre-wax. So if you're just waxing or sealing a vehicle, then you would basically polish it with this, wipe it off, and then apply your ceramic sealant. So now the Beamer is done. It's polished and coated. Let's take a look at the wheels and especially the rotors. Do we see any differences here? Well, the rotors look normal, I guess. No excessive rust buildup. And this is the one that we sprayed it on, so that's good. Now as we go back here to the rear one, yeah, we have a little bit of rust showing up. Not a ton, but just a little bit. So did it work? Yeah, it did. It did work. Let's take a look at the front again. And yes, we can definitely see that it worked. However, let's use a little bit of logic. You could just buy that product and use it. That's definitely an option and it's your choice to make. However, I've been doing this for so many years, I've come to realize that just by driving the vehicle in here, we've applied the brakes and it's already scoured off some of the rust. Now there was a little bit of rust build up in that back wheel there. Really not enough for me to justify using a product like that. But that's just in my world. So doesn't mean that the product is useless or it doesn't have its place. If you have a vehicle sitting in your garage for a while that you've worked on, and you notice that you do have a lot of rust buildup on your wheels, it could be due to temperatures or where you live in the world. If there's, I don't know, a lot of salt and corrosion on the road and some of it was still on the wheel, even after you cleaned it, I don't know. You can kind of make an argument for that, but the product does work. However, all you have to do is drive the vehicle back and forth a little bit in the driveway if you really want it to dry off the rotors completely, and that dries off the rotors. It scours them and cleans them with the brake pad, and then you're good to go, as long as you just don't get them wet again. So Do that, drive into your shop, dry the rest of the wheel, and you're good to go. So is there a place for it? Perhaps in somebody's arsenal. I don't think I need it. That's usually just what I do, is drive the vehicle back and forth a little bit. Or if there is a little bit of rust buildup, it's really not that big of a deal at all, because it's going to happen anyway within a couple of days, especially if it sees any type of wet weather. So if you're interested in the product, I'll have a link down below, or just learn the technique of, do I even call it a technique? Just driving the car backwards and forwards a few times in the driveway before you pull it in, and there you go. You really don't need any other product. This video I made just to kind of educate and to kind of let people figure it out for themselves and learn if they need a certain product or not, or if they need to worry about something like a little bit of rust on the rotor or not, because it's a very common thing and it's something that you really don't need to worry about. Now, I can see this product maybe being used on show cars or something that you had to get the wheel wet and now you are worried about rust. Then yes, you can spray that all over in the inside wheel in that special case if it's a show car or something that's really fancy or exotic or something like that, and you need some sort of rust inhibitors, then you can use a product like that. I see that it has a place, but in the normal detailer's world, meh, it's your call.